let's chat about all the Apple news with Shelly Palmer. He's the managing director at Landmark Ventures and joins us now live from New York. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So first of all, your reaction to Apple joining the Dow?
Look, it's been long anticipated, and Apple's been waiting a while, and it's a validation of their leadership in the tech sector. They're replacing AT&T, and you can read what you want to into that. But I think, when David Blitzer basically at the Index Committee said, hey, it's time, and it's a clear choice, and it's not going to impact the value of the Dow. I think the Dow is still going to be up. The way the stocks are split puts it as a stock that should fit perfectly into the index. I think the wisdom of the Index Committee will be judged by history, but everybody's been waiting for this for a while, so it's exciting for some, and obviously the stock market reacted a little bit, but overarchingly, it just shows that Apple is a premier tech company and a true clear leader in the sector.
Okay, let's move on to Apple Pay. This report that, these crooks are just loading that stolen credit card data right onto Apple Pay and using it at Apple's own stores. Oh, the irony.
Well, look, there are only two kinds of companies in the world, companies that have been hacked and companies that don't know they've been hacked. This is an ongoing, ever-present arms race. It is a little ironic that the particular thieves in this case reloaded the stolen credit cards into Apple devices and used them in the Apple Store. There's something poetic about it, but it's not unusual, and it's going to be happening every day. And on any given day, truly, the good guys are ahead of the bad guys, or the bad guys are ahead of the good guys. This is a huge problem. Credit cards are going to be a huge problem. Credit card theft is going to be a huge problem, and this is just no one's immune, as evidenced by what's gone on with the Apple Pay scenario this week.
Okay, come on, Shelly, let's get real. The Apple Pay is a feather in Apple's cap, and this is kind of a black eye to Apple to have, thieves getting hold of this.
I wish I could sensationalize it and say it's a black eye to Apple. Cybercrime is an ever-present, ongoing, never going away, never going to stop issue. It's going to hit every single company, and we have to do a bunch of things about it. This shows a particular security flaw. This shows a particular breach of security in two different ways, right? They got the credit cards, and they were able to exploit a specific problem inside of an Apple system. It's going to happen every single day. It's an arms race. I wish I could get excited about it or try to sensationalize it. I can't. It's just one of those things, and it's kind of ironic, and it is kind of poetically funny, and you could call it a black eye. I could look past it and say cybercrime is cybercrime. It's a much bigger issue than what's going on with Apple.
All right, let's move on to the Apple Watch making its debut. Is this the product? It is the product that everybody's waiting for. Is it sort of the savior, showing that Tim Cook can come out with something successful with Apple?
By the way, Tim Cook is the most successful business leader of our time. Just think about what he's done with supply side, with the supply chain, and how he has brought this company really to where it is right now. Apple Watch is going to be a very interesting launch. First of all, they start at $350 for the aluminum one. No one knows what the limit is on the top end. Will people wear two watches? Is this really a category? Will they reinvent it like they did music? The jury's out. What we do know is that on the 9th, they're going to have, to great fanfare, a big announcement about the pricing and the dates they're available. But as always, consumers are going to vote with their checkbooks. And, if I had to guess, I never bet or guess against Apple, but this one has me scratching my head. Seen the product, touched the product. It's very nice. It's a very crowded space, and while Apple will be a clear leader in that space, I don't know if that particular sector lives past a certain point. It just doesn't seem to be something people have screamed that they want to do. But no one knew they needed an MP3 player like an iPod. No one knew they needed an iPhone. Certainly no one knew they needed an iPad. Maybe we just don't know we need an Apple Watch.
It's been one more time with the Apple Watch. One analyst I talked with said, look, if my wife isn't interested in this thing, I'm not going to want to buy it. And he said, you know what? My wife's not interested in it. And isn't that the consumer that Apple is really going after with this watch?
Apple is becoming very clearly an aspirational fashion company, and so if we don't have that analyst's wife in the Apple family, you might not have a product. I can give you a personal anecdote. When the watch was announced last September, it's a great fanfare in that fantastic video, and some of us touched it. I called a friend of mine at a very, very high-end fashion magazine. I said, so is this a fashion accessory? And this woman said to me, and she's a very famous writer and covers fashion accessories, and she said to me, is it a tech accessory? I said, well, you know, it's another wristband. It's got all the things wristbands have. It'll count your steps, a heartbeat. It'll be if it's Apple, it'll be the most sophisticated version of it and do all the best stuff. But it's going to be, you know, a wristband like all the other wristbands. And she said, well, would you wear it with a tuxedo out with your wife to a formal event? I said, I don't think so. She goes, well, then it's not a fashion accessory. So there's a lot of people speculating. Here's what happens, though. In our world, consumers vote with their checkbooks. They're going to go out and either buy it or they won't. And in about 6 months or whenever they say they're going to announce it and give it 3 months afterwards, we're going to know if we're right or wrong. Like I said, betting against Apple hasn't been a genius thing to do. They've invented categories before. Jury's out on this one, big time. Let's see.
Oh, and just for the record, I happen to like Tim Cook. Didn't mean to like throw him under the bus there. I happen to be a big fan of his. I have everything Apple. I really do. You name it, I have it. So.
Oh, come on. If you come into my house, it looks like Tim Cook threw up in there. I mean, there's Apple everywhere, but you just have to, you know, sit back and decide, is this going to be the real thing? It's hard to speculate. Let's see what happens when the consumers get involved.
All right, Shelly Palmer, Managing Director of Landmark Ventures, thanks so much for your perspective.